I never imagined my simple act of kindness would lead to a heartbreaking revelation. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was just another rainy Tuesday, the kind that wraps the world in a gray haze and makes people retreat into their shells. I watched from my window, droplets racing each other down the glass as my heart ached for those. The sound of thunder rumbled in the distance, vibrating through my chest like an ominous warning. I decided to help someone. After all, what's a little kindness in our jaded world? I hurried outside, my hands trembling as I clutched a warm cup of coffee. The cafe's sweet aroma clung to me, wrapping around my senses like a warm hug. I spotted an old man hunched beneath a tattered umbrella, staring blankly into the puddles at his feet. His hands were like withered leaves, shaking as he accepted the steaming cup from me. His eyes were hollow, pools of forgotten stories. I wanted to connect. To dive into the depths of his sorrow and maybe lift him, even just for a moment. But the instant I leaned in, the air shifted. It was electric, heavy with an unspoken truth. "Thank you, dear." His voice cracked, revealing a layer of pain I couldn't ignore. That was when I noticed the strange tattoo on his wrist, not just any tattoo, but a number. It haunted me like a ghost. My breath caught in my throat, heart racing like it wanted to flee my body. "It's nothing," I stammered, trying to brush it off. But the weight of his gaze pulled me deeper into his world. The city bustled around us, oblivious to the storm brewing under the surface. I could feel eyes darting our way, murmurs bouncing off the concrete walls. Whispers of judgment, disbelief. I glanced around, the world had splintered. Why did I see him, and why did I care so much? Just then, another crack of thunder echoed overhead, startling me. It felt like a warning, or maybe a sign. I took a step back, unsure, my hands now slick with sweat. The old man looked at me, his expression a mix of gratitude and sorrow. "Do you know what this means?" he asked, a tremor in his voice. I shook my head, confusion washing over me. And then he leaned closer, whispering words that sliced through the air like glass. "You're not who you think you are." My heart dropped, each beat heavy with fear and confusion. My mind raced, images flooding in like a burst dam. What did he mean? Was there a truth lurking in my shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The rain continued to pour, drumming a symphony of chaos against the pavement, but within me, an unsettling stillness settled in. As I stood before the old man, my throat dry, it felt like time had detached from its usual rhythm, leaving me hanging on the precipice of something monumental. The world and its muted noises fell away, leaving only his unsettling whisper echoing in my mind. "You're not who you think you are." "Excuse me?" I managed, though deep down, I feared the answer he held. He hesitated, perhaps weighed down by memories that trailed a heavy burden. A tremor revealed itself in his hand as he gripped the cup, the steam high and curling, a reminder of vanished warmth. "Not in the way you believe. There is much you've yet to uncover," he rasped, his eyes suddenly alight with an unnameable intensity. "What do you know about me?" My voice faltered. I was on the verge of retreat, uncertain if it was my own fear or his imminent revelation that gripped me harder. He shifted, his eyes darting around us as if our conversation held an audience hidden in plain sight. Was there danger in speaking? "Look for the names," he urged, his voice barely above a whisper, each word a fragile thread brimming with untold sorrows. "They will guide you." Before I could process his cryptic statement, a flash of recognition sparked in him. "You have someone with you, a sister." The word hung in the air, dense with implications. "A sister?" The thought sent shockwaves through my veins. How could he know that? I had never spoken of family, I had drifted through life with no more than fleeting connections. Yet in that moment, his eyes told me he knew of bonds I was yet unaware of. The world around us burst back into focus as a nearby car honked, the breath of the city rushing back in. I took a step back, feeling the weight of my existence shift beneath my feet. My mind raced between disbelief and curiosity, fed by fragments of questions that swirled chaotically in my chest. What do you mean a sister? I pressed, desperate for clarity before his words drifted away. But the moment I demanded answers, the man shrunk back into himself. Find her, he pleaded, his voice breaking like frail branches underfoot. If you seek truth, you must confront what you've hidden. With a flick of his wrist, he revealed a hidden pocket in his coat, trembling fingers extracting a crumpled piece of paper. This is all I have, he murmured, extending it toward me. I took it gingerly, the edges weathered and stained. The rain kept falling, but all I could hear was the throbbing of my heart, an insistent drumming that thrashed against doubt that in that precious moment, I felt a mix of fear and urgency driving me forward. I unfolded the paper, tipping my head to protect its secrets from the raindrops that threatened to obliterate everything. The name scrawled inside, a name that resonated in my mind like a sprouted seed, was one I had never heard before, yet it felt so strikingly familiar. Before I could react, the man's voice broke through once more, low and steadied. You're not just a reflection lost in a mirror, you're an echo waiting to be answered. With that, he pulled his umbrella closer, the waning light reflecting the turmoil in his gaze. Wait. I grasped at air, suddenly desperate, but before I could demand more, he disappeared into the crowd, the world swallowing him whole as if he were nothing but a figment of my imagination. That I stood there, heart racing, the paper smudged between trembling fingers, struggling to catch my breath amidst the pouring rain. Who was I? Who was this sister? Each question felt like a puzzle without a frame, just pieces scattered around me, demanding to be fitted together. As I turned to make my way back, a sudden spark lit up among the shadows. A figure emerged from beyond the tree, lean, lithe and shadowy in the rain, but there was something about her familiarity wrapped in mystery. My heart leaped and sank simultaneously. Is it you? I whispered, yearning to bridge the chasm of years lost, but before I could step closer and seek out the answers I desperately craved, the figure turned sharply, our eyes locking for a moment that felt electric, and then she vanished without a trace, as if the night itself had embraced her. The rain continued to fall, but within me, a familiar fear began to rise, a need to uncover what lay beneath the surface. I was on the edge of a revelation, but the cliff I stood upon felt wholly unstable. The journey ahead threatened to unravel me beyond recognition, and yet, deep down, a flicker of hope began to rise amidst the chaos, begging me to seek the truth, no matter where it led. The streets glistened slick with rain, reflecting the city's kaleidoscope of lights. I stood there, clutching the crumpled paper that buzzed with secrets and flickers of familiarity. My heart raced as I navigated a storm of emotions. Part of me craved to chase after the ghostly figure who might hold the key to my past, while another part anchored me to the present, warning against the finality of the unknown. I took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill my lungs, the scent of damp earth grounding me as I fought against the impulse to sprint after her. Instead, I turned, feeling like I was tethered to a dream yet to unfold, the siren call of the unknown echoing louder now. But as steps carried me forward, the world felt altered, as if every shadow held the possibility of revelation or ridicule. The cafe where I had last worked flickered into view. A quiet warmth emanated from within, a stark contrast to my tumultuous thoughts. I hesitated at the door, the familiar bell ringing hollow above as I crossed the threshold. I wiped my wet shoes against the mat at the entrance, stealing a glance at the baristas behind the counter, their animated chatter a reminder of normalcy I yearned for desperately. But I couldn't settle into it, my mind a cacophony of half-formed mysteries and unexpected connections. I waved hello to a few familiar faces and made my way to a quiet corner, the urgency to unravel what had just happened rising like steam over a hot cup of coffee. I pulled the weathered paper from my pocket, the ink blurry in places yet legible enough. The name burned into my thoughts, pushing me to the edge of recognition. What if the sister he spoke of was real? It was unfathomable yet electrifying. Could there really be someone out there who shared blood with me? Just then, the door swung open, a rush of cold air followed by a familiar laugh rooted me in place. "Hey! I thought I'd find you here." Clara, my closest friend, sauntered in, her hair like radiant ribbons against the gray backdrop of rain and clouds. "You've been MIA for weeks." Her smile faltered as she noticed my distant stare, the crumpled paper clutched tightly in my palm. "What's up?" I hesitated, the weight of my discovery sitting like a stone in my throat. I wanted to share, to unload the terrifying potential of further unraveling the fabric of my existence, but the fear of judgment loomed. So I opted for a diversion. "Just thinking. You know how it is." Clara narrowed her eyes, her intuition sharp. "Thinking, or overthinking?" She teased lightly, sliding into the seat across from me. "Does it have anything to do with that mysterious stranger I saw you talking to?" Her teasing tone fell flat as she studied me. "Kind of," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper as I laid the crumpled paper onto the table. "What is this?" Her interest piqued, she reached for it, unfolding it carefully, scanning the name written across the surface. "Is this a love letter?" I half laughed, a nervous sound. "Not quite. It's complicated." Clara's brows knitted into concern. "You know you can tell me anything, right? We've been through thick and thin. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out together." A warmth blossomed within me, a brief antidote to the deepening tides of loneliness threatening to drown my resolve. "I was told I have a sister." Before I could finish, Clara's expression shifted, shadowing the kindness that usually radiated from her. "A sister?" she echoed, her voice low. I recognized the delicacy of the moment, the crack in the emotional ground beneath us. "Yeah, that's what I was told." My words came out heavy, tinged with uncertainty, but infused with an ember of hope. "I don't know if it's true, but I have to find out. This is huge." She leaned closer, her eyes shining with unyielding support. "But why not start with searching online? There are ways to connect, to uncover people." Before she could finish, a booming noise cut through our conversation, shaking the coffee. A brief but loud crash outside. Panic rippled across the patrons as heads turned towards the windows, where shadows mingled amidst flashing lights. I felt tension coil around me. "It's probably nothing," Clara attempted to reassure, but apprehension tightened in my chest. Just then, a figure stumbled through the door, drenched in rain and panic, their eyes wide and wild. It was a stranger, their gaze darting across the room, urgently searching for someone, or something. "Help. Please." Their voice echoed, breaking the rhythm of the cafe like glass shattering. As the room shifted, an uneasy silence enveloped us all, and my heart dropped into my stomach. What happened? Clara jumped to her feet as I remained frozen in place, sensing the inevitable storm that loomed closer. "They are coming," the stranger rasped, breathless and frantic. "They know. They know everything." My heart thundered in my ears as I glanced at Clara, the flicker of apprehension mirrored in her eyes. This was more than a chance encounter. Something dark was encroaching upon the periphery of my newly realized life, threatening to swallow the threads of hope I so carefully wove together. As the realization washed over me, it struck like lightning. Could this be connected to the sister I had yet to find? The chaos outside swelled, and as I felt the air thrum with a veiled danger, it dawned on me my journey for the truth was just beginning, and the stakes had risen higher than I ever could have imagined. The cafe's atmosphere shifted in an instant, the weight of the stranger's words hanging like the oppressive haze in the air. I felt as if time had warped, leaving everyone around me frozen yet tangible in their collective anxiety. Clara, beside me, stood attuned to the heightening panic, while the rest of the patrons whispered uneasily, eyes darting toward the door. "Please, you have to believe me," the stranger continued, voice trembling like a fragile reed. "My name is Jesse, and I've been running for too long. They know who I am, who I was." Their gaze locked onto mine momentarily, seriousness mingled with desperation. "And they're coming for you. I can't let them find you." The coffee shop felt suddenly constrictive, the clanking of cups and the faint hiss of steam becoming drowned in impending dread. I pushed back from the table, unease prickling my skin. What do you mean, they know who I am? My voice emerged steadier than my internal whirlwind. Jessie swallowed hard, the flush of panic betraying their composure. Because they're not just looking for me. They're searching for anyone connected, family, friends, anyone who shares blood with the lost. The way they emphasized lost made my heart ache, the weight of their shared burden hovering between us. Lost? Clara interjected, her brow furrowing. What do you mean? What happened? The sister, Jessie's eyes flared, locking onto the crumpled paper on the table. The sister you're chasing, it's bigger than you think. Your name has come up. They know you are connected to something they want to bury. Their voice lowered as if afraid that even the walls had ears. I know this sounds insane, but I've learned too much. If they catch me, they'll catch you next. At my heart received a tumultuous blend of fear and trepidation spiraled through me. Clara reached out, a protective instinct flaring to life as she held my hand, grounding me amidst the turmoil. This isn't some movie plot, right? We can't just sit here and let this happen, she said, scanning the eyes of the terrified crowd that echoed her disbelief. No. That's exactly what they want, Jessie snapped, shaking their head fiercely as if trying to shake the fear away. If you stay here, you'll be in their sights. You need to trust me. You need to come with me now before it's too late. Panic surged through my veins. I cast a glance at the door, watching the rain fall relentlessly, sheets of water cascading down the glass as if washing away any semblance of safety. I had found a thread of hope in the possibility of family, yet here I was faced with the specter of danger, my heart racing with a confusing concoction of fear and a reckless longing not to abandon this newfound promise. But I don't even know you. I blurted out, the desperation in my voice betraying me. How can you expect me to just go with you? Jessie stepped forward, urgency written all over their features. Because I can show you the truth. You're on the edge of finding your sister, but they'll stop at nothing to ensure that truth remains buried. I can lead you, help you uncover answers, but you have to believe me. Please, I can't do this alone. Doubt waged war inside me, but Clara's grip on my hand tightened. We can't just ignore this, she whispered, her gaze imploring. What if there's a chance to find your sister, to learn more about your past? You can't walk away without this knowledge. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Jessie's eyes searched mine, raw and pleading. Time is running out. Just then, the bell of the cafe jingled again, but this time, it felt different. The air shifted, and the whispers amongst the patrons grew frantic as more strangers entered themselves in disarray, faces pale and eyes reflecting a fear that gripped the room. A chill ran down my spine. Whatever threat loomed outside had pushed in like a dark tide. Go, now. Jessie urged, and something in their voice told me this wasn't just urgency, it was survival. The room began to vibrate with mounting tension, the air thickened with decisions left unmade, connections untested. My heart raced, thoughts whirling in chaos as I stood at the precipice of an unknown future. I could either retreat back into the safety of normalcy, or I could leap into the dark, chasing shadows that were seeking me just as keenly. As I inhaled, ready to speak, another crash echoed outside, this one closer, with lightning flashing through the windows. My breath caught as I caught Clara's gaze, her expression mirroring my own conflict, torn between the safety of the familiar and the wild promise of discovery that might just lead to everything I ever wanted. We have to move, I finally said, heart pounding as a sense of resignation and longing wove together in perfect balance. With a nod from Clara, we all raced toward the door, adrenaline surging through me, chasing whispers of fate while unknown dangers prowled in the dark corners of our lives. But as we stepped over the threshold into the chaotic storm, my heart pounded with the realization that while I was chasing the light of family, the shadows had begun to close in, and perhaps the greater mystery was just beginning, the revelation that might harden the very foundation upon which I had built my life. The rain lashed against us like 1,000 tiny needles as we sprinted away from the cafe. I stayed close to Clara, her presence like a warm ember amidst the chilling uncertainty. The commotion behind us faded to a muffled echo, swallowed by the tempest enveloping the streets. Where are we going? I shouted over the downpour, an urgent question clawing at my throat. Jesse, now leading the way, glanced back, determination etched into their features. "To a safe place," they replied, their voice nearly lost amid the cacophony of the storm. "Somewhere they can't find us." My heart raced, torn between fear and an insatiable thirst for truth. The alleys felt like a labyrinth, winding through shadows where the light barely penetrated. Jesse led us through pathways I had never known existed, forcing me to confront the disorientation swirling within me. Each step away from normalcy felt like severing a tether to an identity I wasn't sure I understood. We turned a corner, entering a narrow passage where the sounds of the rain momentarily hushed. A flickering street lamp illuminated crumbling bricks and graffiti that told stories of forgotten lives. In the dim light, I glimpsed faces etched with sorrow and resilience, those whose paths had diverged under the weight of similar burdens. "Jesse, wait!" I gasped as they halted suddenly, glancing over their shoulder. "What are you not telling us?" My question hung heavy between us, shrouded in tension and the unraveling threads of my reality. Jesse hesitated, but the warring emotions in their eyes betrayed their inner storm. "There's more at stake than you know," Jesse finally murmured, their voice a fragile whisper. "Your sister, she was special. They're not just after her, she was involved in something monumental, and now they want to bury it all." "What do you mean?" Clara cut in, her gaze burning with suspicion and curiosity. "Heavy is the crown that holds the secrets," Jesse replied cryptically, eyes darting around as if the shadows could reanimate the dangers lurking just beyond our fragile reach. "She had powers, gifts that drew attention, dangerous attention. They will go to any length to erase her existence." "What gifts?" My voice trembled, a mixture of intrigue and dread tightening my chest. My long-lost sister was turning into a figure more mythical than kin. "Find out if you can, and please, don't look for her. It was my mistake to chase her trail, and I don't want you to fall into the same traps." Jess's warning gripped my heart like a vice. The uncertainty loomed larger than the storm, threatening to envelop us. I could feel Clara's hand search for mine, fingers weaving through the ever-thickening tension. "We can't just turn our backs on her. If she needs help." Clara's voice trailed off, a mixture of compassion and defiance sparking in her eyes. "That we have no other option," Jesse insisted, urgency rising in their tone. "If they know you're looking for her, they'll come after you next, and I won't let that happen. What if there's a part of her that still wants to be found?" I challenged, my heart aching with the significance of those words. What did it mean to chase a sister who had vanished into the unknown, wrapped in shadow and danger? "Then she will find her way back," Jesse replied, their perspective fierce yet filled with an unexpected tenderness. "But right now, the most important thing is for you to stay alive." Before I could respond, the winds howled, pushing through the alley with a ferocity that rattled the dust. A shadow shifted in the corner of my eye, eliciting a jolt in my chest. I turned, and what seemed like a fleeting figure vanished into the swirling darkness. "Did you see that?" I whispered, breathless. A grim nod from Clara. We should keep moving, but the chill was settling deeper, settling into the marrow of my bones. As we pushed onward, a sense of foreboding washed over me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we hadn't just stepped into danger but into the very heart of a storm that was just beginning to unfold. And then, as we rounded another corner, a building emerged from the Gluma sanctuary. Or a trap, I couldn't yet tell. With peeling paint and shattered windows, it stood like a specter against the raging storm, mysterious and foreboding. "Here," Jesse said suddenly, urgency crossing their features. "Well, wait here until the storm passes." As we slipped inside, the door creaked ominously behind us, and I felt an inexplicable pull, as though the walls themselves were close to releasing secrets I wasn't prepared to hear. Shadows danced upon the worn wooden floor, casting images reminiscent of memories I had yet to recover. In the dim light, Jesse turned to us, eyes shimmering with intent. "Whatever happens next, remember truth can be a double-edged sword." Their warning hung in the air, heavy with gravity and unspoken implications, but before I could ask what they meant, a loud crash came from behind the door we had just closed. My heart seized as I turned back, feeling the barrier between us and the unknown swinging open with the sinister chill of fate. "That we're not alone," Clara whispered, stepping closer to me, her voice barely a breath against the thunder. And just as dread settled in my stomach like a stone, a voice called from the shadows, a voice that made my blood run cold. You shouldn't have come here. What followed was a revelation that would etch itself into the very fabric of our beings, the beginning of unraveling truths once wrapped in layers of danger, love, and destiny. One thing was certain, we were no longer just seeking family, we were being hunted by a past I hadn't even begun to comprehend. The old building whispered secrets as the shadows flickered, drawing us into its depths. I felt Clara's grip tighten around my wrist, a fragile tether against the unknown that loomed ahead. Every breath surged with the weight of danger, leaving my lungs heavy and full of dread. Who are you? I demanded, stepping forward even as my heart bathed in ice. The figure emerging from the darkness materialized steadily, revealing a face that mirrored many a ghostly reflection that twisted my insides. Framed by the dim light, it was a visage both familiar and haunting. Look at you, the figure said, their voice a pained blend of familiarity and sorrow. You really have no idea, do you? Stop. Jesse shouted, stepping defensively in front of us, a guardian against this apparition that seemed to embody every fear I harbored. Don't let it get into your head. What do you want? I snapped, tears threatening to spill. The room closed in around us, layered in secrets and pain, forcing the truth to the surface. I want you to understand, the figure replied, stepping into the flickering light. Their hair fell in dark waves, similar to mine but marked with strands of silver, eyes dancing with untold stories. I am the part of your sister that you've never known, the part that was supposed to remain hidden. That is this some trick? A game? Clara spat, her resolve unyielding even as fear danced in her eyes. This is no game, the figure said sharply. What you've been searching for, it goes beyond the physical. Can't you see? The longing in their voice reflected in the walls that enclosed us, witnesses to everything unspoken among us. That I felt disoriented by the words, but yearning sparked within me. You know where she is? I asked, desperation lacing my tone. You have to tell us. She is in a place where light and shadow dance, an intersection of realms where truth becomes a weapon, the figure lamented, anguish washing over their youthful features. But what was meant to be hidden cannot be unwound without sacrifice, and it's not just the darkness that should be feared. Enough. Jesse shouted, fists clenched. If you know where she is, just say it. We don't have time for riddles. She's in danger. The figure cried. And it's your search that drew the storm upon you, the darkness swirling to find you. Do you think she wanted you to come after her? She was fighting to protect you. Protect us from what? My heart raced, his words echoing like a repetitive drumbeat in my mind, as if each beat heralded some terrible truth that was waiting to be unearthed. The forces that see beyond the surface, they began, but the sound of splintering would cut them off, shaking the very walls of the building and bringing with it the smell of damp earth and impending dread. Another figure appeared from the shadows, cloaked in darkness, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. You've toyed long enough with things you don't understand, the new arrival hissed, stepping forward into the flickering light, revealing a face twisted by malice. Your sister and her secrets are not for you to uncover. Who are you? Jesse demanded, voice trepidatious, eyes darting between the figures. I am a keeper of truths, the dark figure intoned, a husky malevolence underscoring every syllable. And those who know too much become targets themselves. As the words sank in, fear grinding through my bones, the familiarity of my reflection flickered with anguish. You're just trying to scare us. I interjected, conviction faltering beneath the weight of the moment. You don't scare us. A cruel smile creased the dark figure's lips, a predatory gleam flashing in their eyes as they stepped closer. It's not about scaring you, my dear. It's about survival. Your sister chose her path to protect you, but you cannot outrun what's chasing you. It's already here. The walls felt as if they were inching toward me, coaxing panic to swell within my chest. My mind churned with the chaos of emotions, confusion morphing into something darker, something that clawed at the corners of my sanity. I turned to Clara, seeking strength in her unwavering gaze. Grounding myself against the clamor within. How do we find her? I asked again, desperate for that glimmer of hope. By letting go, the dark figure replied ominously. You must confront the past, embrace the shadows. Only then can the truth of her power reveal itself. And only then will any of you be free. The weight of their words settled like a funeral shroud, ushering in a silence that felt impossible, thick with the weight of the universe shifting around us. Then, just as swiftly, reality tore, splitting the air with an insistent shriek that echoed through the hollow building. A blinding flash ignited just outside, lightning striking with terrifying ferocity. In that split second, time froze, and a gut-wrenching realization blossomed, blooming into the heart of our shared fear. "We have to go," Jesse yelled, pulling Clara and me toward the exit, the oppressive shadows nipping at our heels. The dark figures laughed sharp as glass followed us, mingling with the thunder crashing around us. "We're not done here," they called, their voice threading through the chaos. "Remember the truth, for it will resurface." And as we stumbled back into the storm, drenched but alive, I clutched Clara's hand, willing us forward toward answers that teetered on the edge of comprehension, toward a path riddled with peril and revelation. Yet as we raced through the rain, my heart thudded with an unsettling certainty, for I knew, the storm was only just beginning to gather its true, terrible force, and the shadows were closing in around us. The rain soaked through our clothes as we sprinted toward the tree line, adrenaline surging through my veins. The world around us darkened further, but not because of the storm. Something more sinister crept in, weighty with unspoken truths. My heart raced, not just from fear but from a gnawing realization rooted deep within me. Every step we took was unearthing more questions than answers. Jesse's frantic breath echoed in my ears as we paused to catch our breath beneath the gnarled branches, their twisted forms looming large like sentinels in the ensuing chaos. Clara's grip on my hand felt fevered, her eyes wide, reflecting the purple flashes of lightning above. "What now?" Jessie whispered, her voice trembling on the precipice of fear. That I shook my head, the weight of decisions pressing in, tightening the air around us. "We head for the old chapel. It's where I used to go with my sister." The words hung heavy in the air, a reminder of what had been a sacred space now tainted by anguish and dread. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Clara asked, uncertainty dripping from her voice like the rain soaked into the earth. "Yes," I replied, the urgency in my chest propelling me forward. "If we're meant to confront the shadows, we have to start where it all began." The chapel was a refuge distant enough from town that whispers of its existence faded into muted echoes. It stood sturdy and solemn against the biting wind, now sharing the landscape with the storm swirling ominously overhead. As we approached, an unexpected warmth radiated through my shivers. The door creaked open, revealing a sanctuary shrouded in dust and half-lit shadows, strewn with relics of our past, cherished memories mingled with the anguish of loss. Clara stepped inside first, her heart pulsing with doubtful curiosity. I followed closely, feeling the weight of nostalgia wash over me. Each touchpoint sent ripples of memory through my veins, sunlight trickling through stained glass, laughter echoing off the walls, fragments of a simpler time. Jessie flicked on her flashlight, illuminating the altar where we used to gather. It stood untouched yet infused with a stale air of quiet desperation, as if waiting to spill secrets that had long been kept at bay. "So, what do we do now?" she asked, defiance and hope intertwining. "Look for anything that feels familiar," I suggested. "From when we were here last." It felt like a reach into the dark, but the notion of finding anything that connected to my sister urged me onward. We spread out, each of us navigating the fragments of our shared history. Clara inspected the dusty hymnals, flipping through pages while I examined the altar beneath the faded crucifix, my fingers grazing the surface as if it held the answer. Jessie's beam landed on an old photo pinned to the wall, a faded picture of the chapel's first congregation. "Hey, guys!" Jessie called, excitement sparking as she stepped closer. "Look at this." We gathered around her, peering down at the sepia-toned image of families, their faces filled with joy and hope. But as I scanned the group, a chill settled on my skin. The woman in the center bore a striking resemblance to my sister, aged far beyond what I remembered but unmistakably familiar. "That I never This can't be," I stammered. "Is that her?" "No way," Clara breathed, her eyes wide. "Could it be a family resemblance?" But something gnawed at me, chatter unbounded by doubt. "No. She can't just be another face in an old photo. There's a connection, something deeper. What if your sister's been involved in something bigger than we could have imagined? Jessie suggested carefully, her expression softening. What she was trying to protect you from might have roots here. My heart dropped, unearthing a torrent of fear that threatened to consume me. Protection? Or deception? She didn't want us to come here. She was keeping us safe, even if it trapped her in the storm. Suddenly, thunder crackled overhead, puncturing the tense silence. My body tensed, instincts flaring. We need to keep moving. There may be answers hidden here. As we resumed our search, my thoughts spiraled within. If my sister was woven into the fabric of this darkness, what was my part in it? A small glimmer of hope flickered in my chest, but it was a fragile thing, threatened by doubt. Minutes stretched into eternity, and then it happened. Something shifted in the air, causing the shadows to twist around us. A soft light flickered from the far end of the chapel, beckoning us like a moth drawn to an unseen flame. Jessie exchanged uneasy glances with us. Is it just me, or does that feel alive? Clara nodded, her breath hitching. We should probably check it out. Slowly, we approached, heartbeats echoing through the shadows. As we drew closer, I couldn't shake the sense that I was standing on the precipice of something monumental. And as I looked into the light, it rippled with an unnerving familiarity. But just as we reached the Saursay, a small compartment hidden beneath the altar, a deafening crash reverberated through the chapel. The windows shattered, and in a blink, a figure stepped through the shards of darkness, their features cloaked yet eerily familiar. Leave now, they commanded, voice a haunting echo, laced with power and intent. Or you'll know the true meaning of sacrifice. My heart froze as the implications seized me. The past, the shadows, all of it encircled us tighter than a noose. With a rush of adrenaline, I felt the choking weight of the truth crush my breath. Who are you? I demanded, panic flooding my veins. As the silhouette took another step forward, I could scarcely comprehend the weight of the revelation that loomed. The darkened figure's eyes glowed with recognition, ushering a gut-wrenching finality. That I am your sister's keeper, they said, voice dripping with sorrow. And you are too late. The world around me trembled, pulling away the breath of reality. A deeper darkness echoed in my mind, revealing an unfathomable truth, and in that moment, everything shifted. I was right on the edge of something vast, something that could either save us or swallow us whole. The echo of that chilling declaration, I am your sister's keeper, resonated within the chapel walls, reverberating like the storm outside, drowning out the rumbles of thunder. A cold shiver raced down my spine as I struggled to comprehend the weight of that single sentence. The air thickened, filled with confusion and dread, each heartbeat a reminder of how unprepared we were for this moment. Jessie's trembling hand found mine, and I could feel her pulse racing in sync with my own. Clara turned to me, uncertainty etched across her features. What does that mean? What are they talking about? In that moment, standing before a figure cloaked in shadows, I felt as if all memories and fragments of my sister were colliding within me, each one a painful reminder of the person I had lost. In the dim glow of the chapel's fading light, the face of the keeper was obscured, but the familiarity hung heavy in the air, like a proverbial ghost waiting to spill its secrets. I don't know, I whispered, my voice barely piercing the suffocating silence that enveloped us. But we have to find out. The keeper stepped closer, revealing a face that was a haunting reflection of someone I had loved deeply. Not identical, but close enough for sorrow to seep into every pore of my being. You have been blind to the truths that sheltered you, they continued, weaving through the echoes of the chapel, drifting like smoke through the air. Your sister sought to protect you from what lies ahead, but shadows do not fade, they grow stronger in light. What are you talking about? Clara demanded, her voice laced with desperation. Where is she? Why did she leave us? The keeper's gaze drifted to the altar behind me, as if contemplating the memories ensconced within. She believed you could escape. But the past cannot be severed so easily. It threads through you your fear, your grief, it shapes who you are. And if you don't confront it, it will consume you. I felt the weight of their words crashing around me, my chest tightening like a vice as realization ignited within. The storm outside wasn't just a tempest, it was a mirror reflecting the turmoil inside my own heart, a turmoil that I had long been running from. Is she okay? I stammered, grappling with the urge to reach out for something solid in the maelstrom of uncertainty. Is she still alive? The keeper's expression shifted, a flicker of something regret, perhaps. Finding her is intertwined with an unraveling of all that you thought to be true. With a sudden resolve that belied my fear, I took a shaky step forward, confronting the keeper with the weight of my longing. Then show us. Show me the truth. I want to understand that. In response, shadows began to coalesce, swirling towards the altar like lost memories swirling into form. And with each step the keeper took towards the light, the chapel shifted around us, melding the past with the present, crafting a bridge from my reality toward what lay hidden beneath. No, Jessie gasped, gripping my arm tightly. This is dangerous. We can't just follow them into a trap, but Clara's voice sliced through her fear, raw and vulnerable. We need to take that chance. If it brings us closer to understanding to your sister. For a moment, every suggestion of a plan evaporated, replaced with an insatiable yearning to uncover the truth. Okay, I breathed, knowing the weight of unknowing was far heavier than anything we might face. We will follow. As we stepped closer to the light, the shadows shifted to reveal a mural, painted in storied colors that told tales of sacrifice and choices made in anguish. Each stroke resonated with heartbreak, a narrative stretching far beyond my comprehension. Scenes of gatherings, whispered secrets, and glimmers of laughter danced across the canvas. But amongst the revelry, darker images emerged, figures obscured in mist, eyes glinting with malice, and then I saw it, me sister, older now but unmistakable. She stood at the forefront, encircled by others, her expression solemn, cloaked in shadows, and despite the isolation in her gaze, the warmth of her spirit still flickered like a candle in the storm. Why didn't she come back? I whispered, guilt and grief crashing over me like waves. Choices, the keeper murmured, stepping into the glow. To protect you, she made them, sacrificing her own light to shield your path. A hollow ache gnawed at my chest as I absorbed the truth of those words. She had loved me fiercely, making choices that kept her from the safety we all desired. My heart thundered, a relentless rhythm underscored by the knowledge that I might never understand the vastness of her love or the depth of her sacrifice. Then, as we pieced together our collective fears and desires, the atmosphere shifted again, abruptly cold as an ice shard cutting through the warmth that had surrounded us. The glimmer of hope I had clung to began to fade, replaced by the crushing darkness urging me to panic. Keep moving forward, the keeper urged, beckoning us closer to the illuminated mural. The truth coils around you, let it guide you. But with every step, uncertainty gripped my soul. What if we were merely drawing closer to another trap, destined to unravel not just the mystery of my sister's sacrifice but also my own lifeline? Before I could process the weight of that thought, the shadows behind the mural began to retreat, revealing a hidden passage deeper into darkness. In that moment, Clara's voice trembled through the chaotic storm. We're not prepared for this, are we? No, I choked out, panic rising like bile. The shadows were closing in, inviting us into an abyss of secrets. But we have to face it. We have to face whatever we find there. With one last glance at the mural, the faces it encased disappearing into the void, I stepped into the unknown, fueled by a haunting mix of dread and determination. I had to confront the truth the keeper promised, knowing full well that at the end of it could lie a revelation more devastating than I could foresee, a truth that might challenge everything I believed about love and sacrifice. As I crossed the threshold, Clara and Jessie at my sides, the keeper's final words echoed in my heart, "What you find could either shatter or set you free." And as the darkness of the passage enveloped us, I wondered just how much more I was willing to risk in the name of love. The passage was claustrophobic, the walls slick with dampness that seemed to seep into my skin, every step reverberating with the memories we had unearthed. Clara clung to my arm, Jessie's whispers of encouragement faded into the shadows, swallowed by the uneasy silence. A feeling of foreboding coiled tightly around my chest as the darkness deepened, each heartbeat echoing in the void that we moved cautiously, each footstep weighted with unspoken anticipation. What if Clara started, her voice barely more than a whisper, "What if we discover something that changes everything? What do you mean?" I replied, though dread filled my words. Deep down, I understood. The keeper's cryptic hints swirled in my mind, and a gnawing fear took hold. What if the truth would fracture the fragile security I clung to? Before I could voice my thoughts, the oppressive darkness around us shivered, and moments later, light flickered into existence, illuminating a chamber. The air shifted, carrying with it an electric charge, and I squinted against the sudden brightness. As our eyes adjusted, the room unfurled into a surreal expanse. The walls were covered with fabric, rich in color and texture, draped in an intricate tapestry. Each thread woven into its fabric told a story, a chronicle of love, loss, and sacrifice, of fears laid bare. I felt a pull towards the center, where a pedestal stood, inscribed with script that seemed to pulse with energy. "What is this place?" Jessie murmured, stepping gingerly into the chamber. I walked toward the pedestal, every word etched into my consciousness. "It's like a shrine to her," I breathed, my heart racing. The possibility lingered, tethered to hope and fear alike. "Your sister," the keeper intoned from beyond the shadows, "she sought safety in the knowledge that love could protect you from the darkness." I stared at the script, hesitant to touch anything. What if the act of reaching out unraveled everything? But as I inched closer, the markings seemed to resonate with my heartbeats, guiding me to interpret a truth that had eluded me until now. Suddenly, a flash of movement caught my eye from deeper in the chamber. A figure emerged from the shadows, familiar yet distorted, cloaked in half-light. My heart thundered, recognition vied with disbelief. "Brandon?" Clara gasped, a mix of fear and confusion washing over her. My mind raced as I fought to grasp the fleeting image. No, it can't be. But then I remembered how he had always looked out for Jessie and me, how his kindness shaped our childhood despite the chaos that surrounded us. That he stepped closer, a fragile smile playing on his lips. "I've waited so long for you to find me," he said, his voice trembling as if the weight of 1,000 burdens rested within it. "Why are you here?" I stammered, caught between hope and despair. "What happened to Clara?" Brandon took a moment, his gaze drifting to the tapestry that encased us. "She knew the risks, but she hoped that you would one day understand." "What do you mean? What are you hiding?" His expression faltered, shadows lining his eyes. "The truths you seek have power. But the truths come with consequences." A shiver of anxiety nestled in the pit of my stomach as he continued, "She made choices that not only protected you but sacrificed so much more than you can comprehend." "What do you know?" Clara's voice sharpened, pulling us both back into focus. "What choices did she make?" Before Brandon could respond, the shadows began to shift again. The keeper reappeared, weaving back into our line of sight with a sweeping motion, their form intermingling with the darkness. "There are deeper layers beneath the love you seek to understand. Are you prepared to face them?" "More than anything," I asserted, the rising determination almost overshadowing my trepidation. I had come too far to turn back now, regardless of the storm brewing in my heart. Brandon's hands trembled involuntarily. "Then be careful. The truth you're seeking might reveal more than you want about not just her, but yourselves." The words twisted like tendrils of smoke around me, suffocating and intoxicating. I could feel the weight of every choice echoing in the chamber, winding tighter around my heart. With a surge of resolve, I reached toward his hand, hoping to bridge the gap between what was lost and what might still be found. Yet at the moment our fingers almost touched, a thunderous crack echoed, shaking the very foundation of the chamber. The ground quaked, and I felt the air grow thick around me, as if something deeply buried was finally surfacing. A tremendous gust of wind forced its way through the entrance, sweeping the chamber into chaos, pulling the tapestry down as if it were unraveling my world. "Hold on!" Clara shouted, grabbing my arm, trying to steady both of us against the inevitable storm. Fingers suddenly brushed against my shoulder, and I turned to find Jessie swept into the fray, panic written all over her face. "What's happening?" "We need to get out." "Not yet," I shouted back, my voice scarcely cutting through the tumult. I couldn't abandon this moment. The truth beckoned, crackling with urgency. But as the shadows swirled violently around us and the tapestry collapsed, I regretted that choice. No. Brandon's voice rang clear amidst the howling chaos. You must choose. Find the truth or let it shatter you, and in that moment of relentless uncertainty, caught between the past and whatever destiny loomed ahead, I realized, I was no longer just a seeker of my sister's truth. I had awakened a tempest, and as I looked to my companion's Jessie's terrified eyes, Clara's fierce determination, I understood that whatever lay ahead was bound to change us all forever. Suddenly, a revelation pierced through the chaos, a hidden connection threaded between hearts that had already suffered so much. And I wondered, as the last remnants of stability crumbled around us, could the truth we seek, in all its brutal honesty, be the very same truth that had drawn all of us back together. Then, before I could voice this half-formed thought, a blinding light surged through the maelstrom, pulling us toward an unknown fate as whispers raged around us. What you find could either shatter or set you free. With that, we were pulled into a boundless void, uncertainty clasping our hands as the truth stretched before us like a chasm, a daunting yet luminous expanse overflowing with the weight of love, loss, and the promise of revelation. The world spun around me as that blinding light enveloped us. My heart raced in tandem with the rush of dizzying emotions, fear mingling with an overwhelming anticipation for what lay ahead. I felt the warmth of Clara's hand in mine, the frantic grasp of Jessie beside me, holding on as tightly as I was. We were on the precipice of an awakening, one that would tear apart the veil cloaking our pasts. Then silence, the blinding light faded into a soft glow, revealing an expansive landscape beyond comprehension, like stepping into a forgotten dream. We stood together on a delicate precipice, the air around us shimmering with untold stories, flickering fragments of memory swirling just beyond reach. I felt a stirring within my soul, tethering me to something familiar yet utterly foreign. Before us lay a vast expanse dotted with ethereal figures draped in shadows and light reflections of our past, roaming the threshold between what was and what could be. They moved with grace and sorrow, each one etching a tale of love, loss, and sacrifice into the very fabric of this dreamscape. My heart lurched when I spotted familiar face, me sister, radiant yet distant, my mother, a serene smile lighting her features, and Brandon, his essence shimmering like a distant star. Welcome, a voice resonated through the quiet, wrapping around me like a blanket of warmth. It felt familiar, like a gentle embrace I hadn't known I needed. In the distance, the figure stepped forward, me sister, ethereal and gleaming, her presence weaving a thread of hope through the melancholy that permeated the air. Why did you leave? I found my voice, cracking but strong. The tremor in my heart echoed in the silence, a desperation clawing at the edges of my resolve. Why didn't you come back for me? Her gaze pierced through the ethereal fog, filled with a storm of emotions that swirled as fiercely as the winds outside. I wanted to, more than anything. But the choices I made were to protect you, to ensure you would be safe from the darkness that pursued us. From what? Clara interjected fiercely, stepping forward as if bundling her own strength to shield me from the fear. This place, what is it? It's a threshold, my sister replied, her voice laced with both power and sorrow. A reflection of everything we are and can become. But it is also a battleground, a place where truths are revealed and shadows loom large. You must be prepared. For what? Jessie asked, confusion mingling with resolve. To confront the truths you've long avoided, she answered, her eyes now shimmering with unshed tears. You've searched for me but have yet to understand the journey that brought you here. Each one of you carries a piece of the puzzle that must be laid bare. As the words resonated, visions rushed through me, fractured memories of laughter and love, hidden sorrows and painful secrets. Pieces of my past that I had tucked away seemed to surge forth, clamoring for acknowledgement. The essence of my sister's love shone brightly, mingling with the pain born from absence and longing. What do we need to do? I asked, stepping closer, feeling the gravitational pull of truth beckoning. Trust in what you hold dear, she urged gently. Every connection we make carves pathways, memories are interwoven like threads, each one telling our story. But to find me, you must let go of the fears that cling to you, face the shadows of your past and embrace them. I felt the weight of her words, a churning mix of fear and defiance. I glanced at Clara, saw the flicker of determination burn bright in her eyes, then turned to Jessie, her unwavering spirit a guiding light. Together, I whispered, allure weaving its way through the uncertainty. Thus, we stepped forward into that shimmering tapestry, the fabric of our past stretching and bending around us, yet refusing to falter. Visions erupted like fireworks, brief snapshots of joy and sorrow, a kaleidoscope of what we had endured. The weight of love and loss collided into a tempest, blurring the line between what was tangible and ethereal. Suddenly, from the chaos emerged another figure, me mother, luminous and radiant. The warmth of her love enveloped me, reaching out like a protective embrace that anchored me in this surreal realm. My beloved, she said, voice dripping with love and urgency, urging me to remember my place in this intricate weave. You must see beyond the surface to the truth that lies within. Sacrifice is a part of love, but so is the courage to let go. My heart tightened, each word reverberating through my core. But how do I do that? I've lived in fear for so long. By embracing the pain, by forgiving, my sister said, stepping forward to stand beside our mother. By seeking not just the refuge of memories yet unknown, but the hope that lies ahead. You alone can forge the path. What you touch, what you feel, will guide you. Tears streamed down my cheeks as I felt the weight of understanding settle within me, the swirling shadows no longer threatening but inviting. It was to me to forgive, to embrace, and to step into this warm light. The fear I'd carried of losing my sister, of uncovering truth, was but a tattered cloak that could be shed. With trembling hands, I reached out, seeking the warmth of my sister's palm. I forgive you, I whispered, the confession dissolving the barriers between us. And I forgive myself. In that sacred moment, the energy shifted, as if the very fabric of this dreamscape breathed alongside our acceptance. The shadows relinquished their hold, weaving together anew in a patchwork of light and color. Our past, present, and future converged into one vibrant tapestry, rich with the essence of love and sacrifice that surrounded us. A soft glow enveloped us, the figures of my mother and sister merging into the resplendence of the moment. The weight of their love wrapped around me tightly, anchoring me to the truth I had longed for. Your journey only begins, my sister's voice echoed, fading like the last notes of a lullaby. Embrace this bridge, find your path, and understand that love will guide you home. And then it happened. A brilliant flare of light surged around me, filling every corner of my being, wrapping me against the crashing shadows that had defined my journey. Together, we would forge a new story built upon unbreakable bonds, unwavering love, and the promise that life goes on. As reality coalesced around me once more, clarity washed over me, bathing in the warmth of acceptance, the breathtaking understanding of love's true essence. I drew in a deep breath, a promise lingering on the edge of my consciousness, resonating within my heart, binding us in an eternal embrace. We are never truly lost. And then I whispered into the universe, I am ready.